channel. It's me, Clocksyn. Today we're going to be making a video about the art of labels. Okay, I've been meaning to do this video for a long time. The name of the video has changed from different topics. Like, it's been morphed into like a different concept, but label is like a really general term, and I want to go into it more specifically. Personal labels, so labels that we put on each other and ourselves. So I'm going to go into that, and also the overall concept of what a label is. Not when it comes to like the music industry label, but just like, you know, labeling something, labeling a person, labeling yourself. What do you call yourself? Which is a label. You're sticking a label on it, right? So that's what we're going to go into, the art of labels. Before we get into that, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah, let's get straight into it. Okay, so what is a label in the context that we're using it? So label is using, labeling is like using a label to describe someone or something, okay? In like a one word or like a short phrase, instead of having to explain the entirety of it, you just put a label on it, and then the people around you get the gist of what it is just by you saying that one word or one phrase. Like, oh, this is that. Like, for example, on a person, if I say that's an artist, okay, got you. So you automatically get in your head, okay, boom, either the person draws or they make music, okay, got you, that's an artist. I can kind of guess what that person does without having to, you don't have to really tell me, oh, this person actually sings, writes music, also does the piano. You don't have to tell me that. You can just tell me they're an artist, and I can kind of assume. So that's what a label is for, okay? And that's what it's used for. And then that could be good or bad. And so I like with the art videos, I like to go on both sides to kind of break it down and basically come to the ultimate conclusion of, after identifying what labels are, should you use labels or should you not use them? And if so, when you should use them and when you shouldn't use them. So the labeling theory is a theory in sociology, which basically, especially when it comes to people, it describes people, like I just said, but it's also used to control and identify specific behavior. So the reason why that, I know that sounds really bad, but the reason why, well, not, like I said, it's both sides. The reason why that could be a bad thing is, like I said, it leaves room for a lot of assumptions. And on the bad side, I can be like, if I say this person is a criminal, right? Everyone's gonna assume that that person's a bad person, that the person did something wrong. But what if I mislabeled the person? You know what I'm saying? Just because of the fact that I already gave that person a label, now the narrative is out there that this person is a criminal, and now everyone else is gonna look at them as such until they do. Oh, okay, guess the cat wants to be in the video. Cool. Guess now everybody's gonna say as such. So that's the bad part of labeling. The good part of labeling is you can do the same thing by saying, okay, this person's a good person, and you know, whatever label that would be, everybody gets the basic concept of, oh, this guy is a good person because this person is good because someone said they were like for example, what I like to say is solid. Like, this person's solid. That's a label. And I could be like, hey, that person's solid. So me saying that, everybody's like, okay, well, that person, that means that person is cool. That person's, you know, a righteous person, most likely. And, you know, probably somebody you can trust. Just by me saying that person's solid. Like, that's a cool person. So that's a label, right? So that's the good part. You know, you can always just quickly identify and basically control the narrative and the identity of a person by sticking a label on them, all right? So let's go into the importance of label. Is it important to label people? I think for conversation purposes, yes, because it can move the conversation along much faster if we stick labels on certain things to kind of get the overall idea across. This dude is messing up my whole video, but whatever. Can you do that anywhere else? No? Okay. But yeah, you can use that to forward the conversation. Some people say it's like, some people argue that labeling is necessary for communication, But it's also used and intended to highlight certain facts that labeling is used to describe and apply things from an outside narrative rather than the actual truth of the person. So if I say somebody's solid, from my outside perspective, what if that person actually isn't as solid as I say they are? But because I said that, you know what I'm saying? Now everybody's gonna assume, but then when you look in the inside, the person might not actually be that cool and that righteous. But because I said that, it kind of overshadows that. Most people don't even look for that because of the label I put on them. So it's good to look at people for who they really are, not for the labels that they claim or people have said. So yeah, those are like the side effects of defining a label, because you never truly know. It's just like an oversight. Like, for example, if I said I was an artist, no one's really gonna assume that I'm like an NBA player, right? Because I said I was an artist. So that kind of confines me to a box and say, oh, okay, this person, doesn't really do anything else because it's an artist. And it's just so many assumptions that get thrown away at that fact because I labeled myself. So those are the side effects of defining, like, okay, this is who I am. I am an artist, right? So, and some people have multiple labels, and that could have side effects too. But let's go into personal labels, right? So on a more personal level, what do you consider yourself as, right? Religion is a deep topic when it comes to personal labels, because that's definitely a personal label. Oh, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a atheist, whatever. Those are personal labels that you have on yourself to be able to identify with a certain, like I said, certain identification and certain narrative of behavior, right? Like, I follow this, I do this, which is cool to a sense. And I'll probably have to make another video on followers versus leaders, because a lot of followers like to join, and followers love to have labels, right? Because it's easier. You don't have to really think that much. You just accept the label, and you put it on yourself, and you try to live according to the label. Leaders try to create labels. So leaders follow certain labels, but they also like to create labels of their own and live by those, and then having followers follow them. So I'll make a separate video about that, leaders versus followers, and how that correlates with this video. But with personal labels, it's really important to be careful, because when you personally label yourself, when it comes to anything serious like religion or spirituality or anything like that, and you label yourself as this person, like, I'm a Buddhist monk. That is who I am. It can give off positive things. It can also give off negative things for people who don't really understand that particular label to its full extent. It could have a lot of negative effects, and people can just make assumptions about you because they might know a certain part of history, but not know another part of history, and then just take that and then apply it to the name of the label, Buddhist monk, to you calling yourself a Buddhist monk. They see the connection. Oh, bomb. That must mean he follows that, which means this person acts like this and believes this. Gotcha. That's the bad side of personally labeling yourself to things on that personal level. So that's what I have to say about that. But there are also good things when it comes to that too, because it could be, a good side of a label. Like you say, you're like, I'll just make up a label right now. I'm a righteous person, right? So even that in itself is a label in a way, even though righteousness is like it's not really, it is a label, but it's not at the same time. Because it's subjective in a way to certain people. Like, most people know what right and wrong is, but nowadays that is like, it's like really cloudy now. Like, a lot of people don't know, which is crazy. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but what I'm trying to say is be careful when using personal labels, all right? And so we'll move on. We got universal labels, right? We can all kind of agree, well, most of us can agree that we're human. That's a universal label that we put on ourselves, right? Even that can be used in a flawed way, because some people think they're beyond that. Some people think they're connected to the universe, and they don't think they're just human. They think that I'm a sentient being. I'm a divine being. I'm not just human. Y'all are human. I'm actually above that. Or some people might think, no, I'm not human. I identify as something else. I'm a creature, I'm a dog, I'm whatever, right? Because my animal instincts. So even that isn't 100% fact, universal labels. When I say universal, I mean the universal mind, not nature, because nature doesn't really need labels because it's an absolute fact. We are the ones who make the labels and the constructs to be able to understand them. So a plant's always going to be a plant, whether we call it a plant or a microphone. So if we start calling sunflowers mics, they're still going to be plants, regardless of what we call them. They're not going to change. I mean, we're the ones who change labels and then switch up according to what label we have. Nature doesn't do that. Nature follows its own path and its own structure. So when we're even talking about the concept of labels, it's all subjective because they can be changed and morphed, and it can also be redefined. So if I say a criminal is someone who steals and robs, and someone else says a criminal is someone who is righteous and stands up for the good of mankind, and if enough people believe in that, then the narrative and the label of criminal is going to be changed to a positive thing. So you got to make sure you know that labels are all subjective. It's all about what the majority thinks when it comes to a label. Overall, like obviously you can still claim to identify with that label even if everyone doesn't agree with the concept that you have in your mind, but just know everyone's going to assume the more popular agenda, or the more popular label behavior. So what I'm saying, like if I call myself a criminal right now, just because I redefine the label doesn't mean everyone in the world is going to say, oh, criminal means a good guy. No, just because I said that, because everyone else in the world preconceives a criminal being someone bad. So it would be stupid for me to say, oh, I think criminal means a righteous person, so I'm going to call myself a criminal. That is stupid. Okay. Just in a general sense of operating the world, you get thrown in jail thinking like that. So I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not gonna tell anybody what to do, but I wouldn't recommend that. So I guess to really close it off, should you use labels for morals and spirituality? So like, for example, religions and whatnot. That's up to you, but just know the full context behind it and what the label entails. And when you call yourself something, just make sure you know. Like I said, it's gonna force you to do more research, because no one wants to be identified as something negative. Obviously, no one wants to have assumptions put on them because of a label they have. They just want to live righteously and follow a certain path. Everyone wants to be on a righteous path and a righteous guide, but sometimes labels can be corrupted, and when they're corrupted, the history behind them can lead to certain people having certain beliefs of behaviors upon the label. Like I said before, criminal. The history of the label criminal is bad, negative behavior. So if someone were to just right now say, I want to reinvent it, you have to be cautious of all the past narratives and behaviors of the word and label criminal. So, yeah, that's basically it. I guess this video is 2 people in here featuring the cat. You didn't even help out. You could have gave some of your points on what do you label yourself as, a cat? Or you just label yourself as another sentient being walking around? Okay, gotcha. So I guess the next question will be, or the obvious question will be, what happens if you use no label? What's the other option where, okay, if I don't want to label myself at all, what would entail that? That would be the neutral position that most people are afraid of, because it's almost like you don't have a guide to go to because there's no label. But the most neutral position, honestly, is having no label, to not be connected to anything directly. And that doesn't mean you can't learn from things, but it's just like, I'm in the middle. I'm not this, I'm not that. I am me. Because like I said before, we create the label. So before there was a label for a criminal, there were criminals. Before there was a label for a hero, there were still heroes. You know what I'm saying? So we have to realize that labels are after the action, not before. So you don't become a hero because someone calls you a hero. You have to be a hero for someone to call you a hero. So because of that, for someone who's truly righteous, or who doesn't really care about the labels that are put on them, will act and live righteously in their life regardless of what label they have. And that way you don't have any assumptions, and no one can really assume what you follow and what you believe. They have to literally witness what you do and look at you and really just study you for you, not for any past people who have said things, and they can't assume that you follow this person because you said you're this. They have to literally just study you for you. And that's why a lot of people tend to go towards no labels on. Don't call me this, I'm not that, I don't identify with that, because they don't want any pre-structured confines and assumptions in other people's mind and say, okay, this person's like that because they said they're this label. So I kind of understand that, you know what I'm saying? And so the ultimate, I guess I will say goal, because everybody has to do their own thing, right? But back to the question, should you use labels for morals and spirituality? You can if you want to, just make sure you know the full context of the label. And if you don't want to use labels, just know that you have to represent yourself. And so all the things you do will be your guide. That will be your label. Your label will eventually be your name. So me, Clocksyn, I will be the label for whatever I do. And same for anyone else. They will be the label for what they do, not for what they follow, but for what they live. Before there were labels, it's just what you do. So that's basically it on the video, the art of labels. Should you use them, should you not? It's up to you, honestly. Like I said, I can't have these videos so subjective to where this is what you should do. I'm not going to do that with these videos. They have to be open, they have to be balanced. But I want you to see both sides. There are positives when using labels, especially for conversation, push it forward, and narratives and behavior. There are also a lot of negatives because people like to assume and push certain narratives and assumptions of behavior on a particular label because of misinformation or, a true understanding of it. So you can definitely mislabel yourself because of your assumption of that label, but in fact, it's actually all negative. Like I said before, like I said, I'm a criminal. If no one ever told me that the criminal label was bad, I'm thinking there's a positive, and then, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, there's good and bad to that. And then there's also, there's a good side to not labeling yourself at all. But there's also a bad side because no one really knows who you are and what you follow. And so that might scare them because people are scared of the unknown, just naturally for some reason. I don't know why. I'm not, but most people are. People are scared of what they don't know. So they're like, okay, this person, just like the term atheist. People are so scared of that term because, like, you don't believe in anything. I don't know what you believe in. I can't identify with that, so you're a weirdo. So we got to stop thinking like that. We got to stop thinking just because they don't believe in what we believe in, that they're crazy. They're like some, you know what I'm saying, some off, like not even human. No, it's just that they don't confine themselves to the labels that most people do. We have to respect that and still look at them as a human being and identify with them on those things. Like, okay, this person's righteous, so now I'll be their friend. Not because they said they're this. No, this person is a righteous person. This person is honest. This person lives in truth. Those are the attributes that I'm going to identify with, because everyone can identify with that. Regardless of what you call yourself, you can identify with those attributes and those labels. You know what I'm saying? And those labels, like I said, you only get those labels when you act as such. No one has to tell you, oh, you're a hero. If they see you doing it, like, you know what I'm saying, it's like it's automatic. You don't have to say, okay, let me put this up on myself. No. So those are the type of things you want to go by. Even when you do call yourself a certain label, still act on the principle that the label represents, the positive, righteous things that the label represents. You know what I'm saying? And if you're powerful enough and smart enough to redefine a label, then by all means do it. If you think a label is righteous in your heart, and you want to redefine it and take the negatives away and only keep the positives, and you believe that the label that you chose is you want to keep, by all means, go for it. So this is it for this video. Thank y'all for watching. This is the art of labels, and yeah, follow me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, this YouTube channel as well. We're going crazy. More interviews coming soon. Subscribe to the TWB channel. I'm gonna be uploading some more videos with my homies, Chris and Naga. And yeah, and also Going God, he features on the channel every once in a while. But yeah, and more soon to come for sure. We got more videos coming up, and yeah, thank y'all for watching. Catch y'all later. Peace.